Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We are at Adam's parents' house right now, and we've got dogs here too. This is Tessa that's coming in to check out our turkey that's coming up to room temperature. Yes, I'm in pajamas, but we're just gonna do it as real as possible. So I normally start off the turkey process in pajamas, so here we are, cat pants and all. But let's talk about the turkey because that is the main focus of Turkey Day, right? So inside here we have our brined turkey. It's been sitting in there for about 24 hours. Call it a drunken turkey, actually, because there's a whole bottle of wine in there. So what else is in there? There's a cup and a half of salt. Sounds like a whole lot, but it's not. Trust me, just do it. Coarse salt is the best to use. Of course, you can use the regular fine grain, but I always use coarse salt. It seems to dissolve easier. We also have 2 onions thinly sliced in there, 6 cloves of smashed garlic. There's thyme, there's 6 bay leaves, coriander seeds, fennel seeds, juniper berries, and peppercorns. Yes, there's a whole lot that goes in there, and orange peel. So should be really good. Like I said, it's been sitting in there for 24 hours, coming up to room temperature, and this is a very important process in all of it, coming up to room temperature. It really gives you a nice texture on the meat instead of shocking it, like going straight from being very, very cold and then shoving it in a really hot oven. So we will be back once this comes up to room temperature and it goes in the oven. Got my sous chef over here.
Oh,
He's buttering the dish.
Buttering it all, yes, for the cornbread.
You gotta do something about that hair.
are you
I'm
filming
filming.
right now?
You're on.
We are drying out the turkey. Now that it's come to room temperature. Sue over here is making noodles for beef and noodles. It's important to dry out the skin because when you dry out the skin, it gets crispy. Our next process here is shoving a bunch of butter underneath the skin, which is always fun. That will make it extra crispy too. So first he gets a bath, then he gets dried off, and then he gets massaged. It's actually a turkey spa day. And he gets drunk. So many things. We will get you over.
How many pound bird is that?
20.
Nice.
So probably going to be in the oven for about 4 hours, which will give me enough time to actually dress myself and make other things, like the stuffing. Dress myself to make dressing. That actually sounds fun.
Is that cornbread part of the stuffing here?
Yes. So I made the cornbread earlier, and that will get cut up into cubes and made into stuffing. All right. Bird's completely patted down and dry. Good rule of thumb, always wash your hands when manhandling poultry. Time to shove some butter underneath its skin. So this is a crucial step. Butter, butter, butter. Everybody knows I love butter. You don't have to get this fancy, but I actually spent time yesterday making butter from scratch. So it's super easy. You actually just need cream. And then if you do have one of these handy dandy awesome machines, you can put it in there with the whisk attachment, let it go for 20 minutes. You're gonna get really thick whipped cream if you keep going longer, and then you get butter. And then I took it a step further after making butter and went ahead and made compound butter. So in this one, it's for the turkey. There's sage, thyme, and rosemary, and a little bit of salt. So all this is gonna get shoved underneath the skin. Grab a knife. You sure you don't want to shove it underneath there, Adam?
I'm okay.
You alright?
I will film.
So these are actually fun so you could give as gifts. Not really gonna give too many out right now for Thanksgiving. I do always make one for my mom because she loves them. But for Christmas time, you can definitely make butter as gifts. If you think about it, it is technically gluten-free. It's paleo. It's is not dairy free, but you could clarify it and make ghee, and then at that point it would be dairy free. So it's a good gift. Everybody loves butter. And after it's done, I just wrap mine in parchment paper, and then I did the tin foil to keep it cold so it would set, and then there is also another layer of plastic wrap. Gotta love the butter. You really want to protect it. So yeah, homemade butter. Smells awesome. I wish you could smell through the screen. Start off cutting up some chunks. It's gonna go underneath. So I start out by actually going in there before the butter and lifting right underneath. There's this weird layer, and unless you've never done this before, it's a membrane. It's this thing right here, and yes, totally gross. But your goal here is to get just underneath that membrane and not poke any holes in the skin, because that's what keeps the breast of the turkey nice and moist when you shove the butter underneath there, and that's what gets the skin really, really crispy. So you want to just slide your hand underneath there, release that membrane, but not poke any holes. So appetizing, right? So yeah, again, turkey gets a bath, gets drunk, gets patted down, now it gets a massage. So much prep for Turkey Day. Gotta make sure you get in on the other side, into the legs, even underneath the skin of the wings if you can. What this does is if you don't have a deep fryer, it ends up tasting very much like a deep fried turkey, just because the skin is so crispy and you get that butter underneath there, so it's like basically a self-baster. We baste it too. I'll show you that process once it's in the oven, but having the butter underneath the skin keeps it moist. And like I said, self-baster. One last thing. Okay, we are done with the turkey massage for now, lifting up the skin. So, yes, you're going to take the compound butter, and this is actually what it looks like. And there's thyme, rosemary, sage inside of the homemade butter. So, yeah, you are literally sticking and shoving the butter underneath its skin. The equivalent to the butter that I made is probably about a stick. And that's about how much I use for a 20-pound turkey. 18 to 20-pound turkey is an entire stick for underneath the skin. And then after underneath the skin, we're going to rub it on the outside too. Double duty massage.
No.
Make sure we get the legs. Everybody loves a drumstick, especially me. What's nice too is, yes, some of this is going to drip down to the bottom of the pan, but we do use those drippings to make turkey. So you're going to get all that yummy, buttery, homemade, herby goodness, and gravy too. Get a couple more chunks up in here.
Gosh, what is going on here?
Come on now, you know this. I know, it looks really strange. So we have a decently sized piece of cheesecloth that I went ahead and dipped in our basting liquid, which is equal parts dry white wine and butter. So much butter. So what we're doing now is we're just gonna put a little blanket over our turkey before he goes into the sauna. I mean, come on, this turkey is so spoiled. Like, I'm kind of jealous.
What do you think about this?
Oh, that's a nice looking cheesecake.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, my granddaughter Daphne made this.
Delicious.
Looks good.
So this cheesecloth stays on as a little blanket for about an hour throughout the cooking process. So what this does is it's soaked with butter and wine. So as it's cooking, It just kind of seeps through that skin, keeps the top portion of the breast, which is what usually dries out the fastest. So keep this little blanket on there for the first hour cooking and make sure she stays nice and moist. Remember the cornbread from earlier? Well, the cornbread has now turned into cornbread stuffing. So we've cubed it up, added chestnuts, added some breakfast sausage with sage and thyme, added some of the homemade butter, added some of the homemade chicken stock, or turkey stock actually. I don't know if you want to check it out. Some turkey stock. So we're gonna finish pouring this into the same dish that we actually baked the cornbread in. Way to save dishes, I'm all about that. And then we're just gonna dot it with some butter, pop it back in the oven.
How are you?
And then we have stuffing.
Okay.
More to come? Nate, what kind of fish do you like to catch?
Bass.
Why?
Largemouth bass, because I can hold them in my hand.
But shouldn't they be big enough so you can't hold them in your hand?
I catch big enough bass. It's a lot of fun.
Daphne, how long have you known me?
A long time.
Does that make me old? Maybe a little.
Hello, I'm here with our T-Bulls rolls. These are French rolls. Basically, you just put them on a dish or an oven baking sheet and bake them for like 5 minutes or so till they're brown. But T-Bulls is a restaurant that both of our families have been going to in the area, Northwest Indiana, for many years now. And they're known for their perch, which that's a fish that we love to catch. And we will have more footage of us catching perch very soon.
We have the turkey out. After everything, here we are, 3.5 hours roasting in the oven at 4:05 to start, so you get the crispiness on the skin, and then 3:25 to end. We have my sous chef, Adam.
How you doing?
Hi, babe. He is just adding some fun decoration, and this is my idea, by the way. I just always think it's fun to put some herbs around the bird. Make it look less naked, you know. My mother-in-law, Sue, has done an amazing job with the tablescape. Napkins, folded placemats, whole 9 yards. Got a secondary table over here too. It's what used to be the kids' table, but quite honestly, these are the kids now, and they're not really kids. I mean, kind of, but not really. I mean, he's got a margarita, so not really.
Gonna kill us all. Look at that beautiful bird.
Everything's getting set up. We'll do a 360 view of everything so far. Mashed potatoes, cranberries, soon to be T-Bulls rolls, green beans, turkey, beef and noodles, sweet potato casserole.
Think brown sugar.
As you can tell, Thanksgiving is definitely my type of holiday. I'm all about it. But when it comes to being an expert carver with the electric knife, I've got my sous chef here again, Adam. He's coming in for the heavy duty. And as hard as it is for me to see my bird get sliced here, because it is so beautiful presentation-wise, it is a labor of love. Literally, this is more than 24 hours in the making, which is pretty incredible. So you can see the texture here. You can see how juicy it is. It's still warm, and we actually took this out of the oven about 45 minutes ago because it needs to rest. It's just like beforehand. When you take it out of the brine into the oven, you don't want to shock it from being super cold and being super warm. You also don't want to shock it from going into the oven and then taking it out and then cutting it right away. You're going to lose all the juiciness. And With something like a turkey, you don't get that much to begin with. It's not like a steak, so you've really got to preserve here. You don't want to waste all that precious time that you've put into brining. So again, we're not focusing on me. We're going to focus on Adam actually cutting the turkey here. I could go on forever and ever about the brine and the whole process because, again, that is my thing. Beautiful work, babe.
Thank you.
How excited are you? Which kind are you gonna eat? Breast or thigh? Leg? Drumstick?
Breast, for sure, without a question.
Look at this turkey.
All right, we're out here in Lake Michigan right now. We're out here getting perch. We talked about perch on Thanksgiving dinner a little bit, and now we're out here catching them. So we're gonna take these perch home after this, and Rachel's gonna fillet them and fry them up for us. It's gonna be so tasty. All right, cool. There we are. Little perch, not eating size. We'll throw him back. We can go back, grow a little bit more. We'll come back next year and eat you. That's how you do it. All right, we got one on the board. Ouch. And that's what you don't want to do, is get a hook stuck in your finger. So we got one on the boards right now for each of us. Or actually, I think Rachel's got two. Yeah, we gotta get some monsters. Let's see what she got. Oh yeah, that is a nice size. A lot bigger than last weekend. Look at that, congratulations there. We're having perch.
And we're on.
Hey guys, welcome to our kitchen. I am finishing up filleting some of our perch that we caught the other day. Pretty simple process. These fish are really small, so I would work with a smaller fillet knife if you can. They come in various sizes, but if you want to be really precise with some of these panfish, perch are included in that category, then I would get a smaller knife. And as you can see here, these are some of the fillets that I've already done. There's a lot of labor for a little bit of delicious meat here, so we really want to be precise in filleting them so we get the most bang for our buck. What we're going to start with is a angular cut right underneath the fin. And then we're also going to do a slit belly up. Go ahead and scoop out all those awesome entrails, everyone's favorite part of filleting a fish. Just part of the process. Then what we're gonna do here is you want a really sharp knife so that way you can just ever so slightly get underneath the skin here and kind of get in there on both sides so it stays even. You will see the method to my madness in a second here. Once you've got the skin lifted, it's pretty easy to peel back. You press your knife against the flesh. Sometimes you have to play with it just a little bit more, give it a little help. And you just kind of rip the skin off that way. I keep a garbage bag handy just because obviously it's not the cleanest process, so you wanna make cleanup as simple as possible. So we're just kind of going along the perimeter here, the skin. Perimeter here. And again, lay your knife against the flesh. And we're just gonna pull all the skin off like that. So you've got the beautiful fillet exposed here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna work from the tail end right along the spine, being careful to get as much meat as we possibly can. And again, with a precise knife and a sharp knife, it will guide you. You'll be able to feel where the bones are in the spine, and where you kind of need to stop your cut. But it should glide through the meat just like a butter knife. You should not have any issues whatsoever in taking the fillet off. That's how sharp your knife needs to be. So we've got our little fillet. And again, there's a lot of work for just a little bit, but trust me, it's delicious. It's so worth it. Perch is a really flaky white fish. It kind of takes on the flavor of anything that you put on it. One of my favorite things to do is just keep it simple, and you can kind of really expand off of it, is to just pan fry them lightly in a little bit of butter. Of course, it's always better if it's homemade compound butter, and salt and pepper. And from there, if you wanted to dress it up and make them into fish tacos, or if you wanted to do a perch poor boy sandwich, you could do that. But the most basic way to start is to just lightly pan fry them with salt and butter and pepper. So here we go.
Go. And this is some delicious Lake Michigan perch.
Everyone's favorite part, from the water to the table right here in the Midwest. Yum.
Melts